Welcome to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show. Tune in for a vibrant mix of fashion, finance, and life's essential foundations. Join us for expert interviews, insightful discussions, and empowering insights to elevate your lifestyle. From fashion trends to financial tips and personal growth strategies, we've got you covered. So grab your headphones and get ready to be inspired. Tune in now to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show and embark on this exciting journey with us.
Welcome back to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show. I am your host, Teresa Lawrence, and we are here with our guest, Hilary Burns. And when we left off, she was about to continue her journey from Wharton Graduate, working on Wall Street, and now she's home with the kids and she's gained some weight and she's trying to figure out what is happening in her life. So this is a moment of self-reflection and then we move on. So welcome back, Hilary. And I'm going to give you the full screen. You go for it.
All right. So, I was always typing on my computer. I had always wanted to write a book, but somehow they always turned into journals. So while I was going through this, I had been recording some of my feelings and realized that, you know what, I did not like my life. And that's what I had been numbing. And there were issues, there were financial issues. You know, it wasn't just my weight. It wasn't my weight at all. That was a symptom. And so there was financial issues. There was, can I say the S word? There was sexual issues that my husband was not interested in sex, and we really didn't have a relationship. So it wasn't an easy fix. It really wasn't. But what I did was I started writing this book. When I got sort of to I started writing it in the middle of this. And then when I got to the other side, I ended the book and I had a deadline. I actually had a deadline. There was a goal. I was going to finish it on December 31st, and I did. Now,
I have to interrupt. Can you share with everybody the name of the book?
Yeah, well, it took 7 years for it to get published, but here it is, The Secret Piece of French Toast. And, I wrote it. I thought I would publish it. And then, someone said, you really should, you should meet Jessica. Well, Jessica gave writing courses. I was like, oh, I don't need that. Like, I thought the book was done. Anyway, it took me 7 years. I took writing courses for a few years. I rewrote every chapter. I would read them aloud. But the people were very encouraging. And they said, you know what? There's probably other women who feel this way. And you need to tell this. Don't stop. So I didn't stop. It took me 7 years. I didn't know what I was doing. I published it myself. You could tell by the cover, I never redid it. But, I was very proud that I kept going. And the book, it was about really going from the dark side where I didn't have any hope. I thought it was all there was. We would never have money. Now he's my ex. Oops. Spoiler alert. He's my ex, but he liked to borrow money and I didn't. It just didn't work for me. And I finally got to the point where I said, you know what? He shouldn't have to change, right? I've been waiting to be happy for him to change. He doesn't have to change, but I don't have to do this anymore. And that gave me a lot of freedom. He hired coaches to help me so I would change my mind. And, we had a contract, which is in the book, and,
So,
he didn't keep it. So,
so in terms of leadership training, which is what the Trueness Project does, no one is responsible for our personal happiness except us. But
right.
we're not taught that, and you taught yourself that.
Right. Yeah, it was a big moment when I realized, A, I've been waiting for him to change. B, he's not and probably won't. And C, why should he? He
So
shouldn't
you
have to
stopped.
change.
So it wasn't a blame game anymore. You weren't a
Right.
victim. You
Right.
you refused to be a victim, and you moved
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. I stopped being a victim and, it was a process. And I started taking ground. I did a triathlon.
I always get a kick out
Oh,
of that. It's
I,
like because the swimming part throws me off at the triathlon. So what was that like? What was it
it was a
like
mini. It was
training
a,
for the triathlon? Did your babes come in and help? I mean, what was that like? Because
oh
that's
yeah. No, the babes were back. The babes had scattered by that point. This was probably I don't know how many years later, but so it was a dream. It was a mini, I have to say. It wasn't a full, but I trained, I did the swimming. I was a good swimmer, so that was the easy part. The bike I had to get from somebody and it broke during the thing, but I still finished. And then the running should have been easy, except I never put all three parts together. I could do double each, it just never occurred to me. If I had done another one, I would have known, but I never thought to swim, bike, and run on the same day. So so it was tough, but I did finish it. And I had a ghost runner in to finish, it's in the book. It was really a great moment. I have to say, it was a big accomplishment. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, anytime anybody says triathlon, I mean, that's just huge. To have the discipline to train for that and to actually get through it, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. So what did that experience lead to? Because
Well,
so this book is an excellent book. And if it took her 7 years to get it out, okay? So this is the funny part. So I used to take years to do anything. I was so meticulous. I was so like it just had to be right.
hmm,
And the difference between where I am now and where I was then, now I just do it, right? And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. People can laugh at me and I'm okay with that, but I wasn't okay with that earlier
hmm,
on.
hmm.
That's a long time to wait to publish a book. So, so what did publishing that book lead to?
Well, there was something that happened. So you had said you had asked me before which came first, the book or the show, podcast show. I was it was in I think it was in 2019 before the book was published, but I was in a course and I was always trying to fix myself because I felt like, my mother's very positive, she's perky and peppy, and I have a side of me that's it's a glass half empty. That's just my natural way of looking at things. And so I was always trying to fix that. And the question was, if you weren't trying to fix yourself and you were whole and complete, what would you do with your time? And the thing that popped into my brain was I'd be an inspiring storyteller. Okay, that's fun. I mean, well, I don't know where that came from, but it came out. And
That's
then,
fantastic.
yeah, and then the next question was, what would you have to put at risk? And the answer was my real self. My real self, because I was a people-pleasing, pleasant phony. That's what I call myself. I was always fine. I'll be nice. You walk away, I'll be like that Teresa. You know what I mean? Did you see what she had on her head or whatever? Like I wasn't. I pretended to be nice. I really wasn't that nice. I mean, I wasn't terrible, but I wasn't the Pollyanna that I pretended. I didn't speak up, and that's my second book, and so
Oh,
it was
talk
like,
about the second
okay.
book. Talk about the second book.
Well, first, what was born that day was getting real with Hillary. I got home, my daughter said, "Why don't you start a YouTube channel?" I'm like, "What's that?" So I started posting videos of being real. And I was terrified because it felt so vulnerable. After all those years of pretending, it was like, ooh, can I really say what I really feel? And so that's how that started. The Getting Real with Hillary was a big moment, and that was in 2019. That was actually before the book was published. I still didn't have a cover. I didn't know how to do, I had to learn all that. And that was really like my commitment is that we're all free to create lives we love. And being my fake self was not freeing, and it wasn't a life I loved. So the more real, the more free.
That's
So
beautiful. That's the whole point of my nonprofit.
yeah.
No, because I get you, because I was living somebody else's life. Always, until I said, okay, I can't do this anymore. And so what you're saying is really freeing and beautiful. We really have to learn how to live in authenticity because that is the only, the planet keeps saying, we need peace. Well, we're not going to do it negotiating with anybody. We need to find peace within ourselves. And that's how we're going to get world peace. And that's what the butterfly event is all about, people. Yes, I'm bringing you back to the butterfly event. And notice that Hillary is all in.
I have more. I could
Oh,
put more
no.
in. Here we go.
Oh,
There we
that
go.
looks fabulous. Fabulous, fabulous. Okay, so now you're being authentic and raw on the YouTube channel. I can so relate to this. I know that there are so many people relating to this because I still do things to people please. And I am, when I do that, I get really upset and I'm like, haven't I changed this? And the truth is, you have to keep working on something until you stop, until it's like automatic. But I mean, we all want to make other people happy. We just have to figure out we can't make other people happy and really go against our own value system, and what we really want.
Well, we can and we do, but it's not freeing. I still say yes, like I was saying yes to things, and I was like, I don't want to do that. Why am I saying yes? And now how do I get out of it? Do you know what I mean? It's like I still wonder, why am I saying yes when it's not what I want? I don't want to get people upset. I don't think I could say no. I don't think it ever goes away, but I think we can get aware of it quicker. I
Yes.
can be aware of it now,
Yes,
whereas before it
the
was
more
just,
of this work we do, the better we are at it. It's
yeah,
just difficult to get to the next level.
yeah.
And we're going to learn about Hillary's next level with all of her butterflies that are when we come back for our commercial.
Welcome to the Fabulous Lifestyle Radio Show, where we talk about food, fashion, finance, and foundations of life. We are live on KCAA Radio Broadcasting Network. KCAA is affiliated with CNBC, NBC News, and NBC Sports. We are sponsored by Sheltered Studios, Fire Connect, and Building Solid Foundation.